Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of The Fix, formerly The Process Fixer, formerly The Convergence, formerly Your Triple Bottom Line, formerly everything. I've been doing podcasting for way too long, and whatever my moment and mood is at that time, that's what we are. So we're The Fix, and I want to welcome you. Listen, today I have one of my favorite members of the collective, and that is Bill Green. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Derrick. Always great to be with you.
I love the fact that you are the vibe optimizer because I'm all about vibe. So I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. I really enjoy the optimized part too, which you helped me appreciate.
So tell me a little bit about the work that you do, Bill. We met, well, let's first talk how we met. We met through probably Ashley Bechtel. That's who I meet everybody through. Did we meet through Ashley? No, I think we met through Benj, didn't we?
We met through Benj, but I know
Ashley. I met Benj through Ashley Bechtel. Do you know Ashley Bechtel, by the way?
I do know Ashley very well. She's one of my
favorites. Seriously, folks, if you're watching this podcast and you don't know Ashley Bechtel,
you should.
Yeah, something's probably wrong with you. I mean, I pretty much everybody I know. I like go to introduce Ashley Bechtel to somebody, and she's like, "Dude, I'm the one that introduced you to them 3 years ago." I'm like, "Oh,
that sounds about
sorry."
right.
Yeah, she's just this ultimate connector. She knows vibe.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I appreciate about Ashley versus so many other people that try to introduce me to people is every person I met through Ashley, like within 5 minutes, we're like, okay, we're BFFs from another dimension, right? She's very good at picking up on that, which I think is giving her a plug. Beck's Partners, she does a lot of HR and recruiting. She's trying to find right fits, particularly higher level right fits for executive teams. So it makes sense that Ashley knows what she's talking about. But we met through Benj. So please tell me the backstory. Tell everybody how we met and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was great. You know, I've been a coach for System and Soul now going on 4 years. And my kind of passion is really understanding how people and cultures come together to get good things done. And I was on my little kind of annual clarity break in San Diego, staying on the Navy Pier, and I'm looking at the System and Soul model, and I see process under the design element. And I thought, you know what? I don't really recall talking about process much in the 4 years I've been coaching System and Soul. So I called Benj. I said, "Hey, what do we have for process?" And he said, "You need to call Derrick." In the System and Soul coaches toolbox, there's, Rosie Rosenberger's process triage. Yeah. So you and I met. You were kind enough to invite me to the certification in Charlotte, I believe, in July of last year. Yeah. And it opened my eyes to not only what process means in terms of the way most people think about it, but how it does really help shape the conversation around balancing the systems in organizations broadly, from strategy down to processes, but all the way over to the other side of the way people feel doing the work and the pride and joy that you talk about a lot that they have in doing the work and feeling included and feeling like they're part of the solution. And what it helped me do, Derrick, ultimately is realize that what we're talking about here isn't really strategy and culture or system and soul. It's the vibe. It's the company vibe, the way people feel doing the work, producing the value that goes to the customer. And I don't know if I heard this from you, but a business is nothing but a set of systems designed to deliver value for cash.
Yep.
Right?
That's all it is. That's all
and
it is.
I like to add the piece that says with people who love doing it so that people get unreasonable hospitality from it. And if we can combine that idea of a well-functioning system or set of systems in the case of a business with a soul and an energy and a vibe that people really love to be a part of, that's magic. So
yeah, that's what we call a destination employer, right? A place where when people graduate high school or college and they say, "What do you want to do with your life?" They don't say, "Oh, I want to be a designer." They say, "I want to go work at Google."
Exactly.
"I want to work at Copenhagen." Like they name the company that they want to work for because they understand that their vibe and that company's vibe, are very similar. And they have a loyalty to an organization that hasn't yet paid them anything. Which is really fascinating because we're so focused on our compensation to try to pay people. But let me tell you, the best compensation you can give anybody is pride and joy. And I give you a perfect example of this from an old analogy I used to give. I used to do this when I used to give talks probably 10 years ago. I would get up on stage and then I would say to the audience, "Oh my God, I forgot my iPad. Here's my keys. Could somebody run out to my car and grab my iPad?" And you'll get 10 or 15 people that'll raise their hand, right? And as soon as they do that, I say, "And when you return, I will pay you with a shiny nickel."
Yeah.
And everybody's face is like, "You asshole." But my point is, I just offered you financial compensation and you're upset. But when I asked you to do it for free, you were okay with it. So is money really as big of a motivator as we think? And that really opens their mind to say, "You know what? No, the reason I said to do that is because Well, I wanted to be seen as a nice guy in front of all of these people. I wanted to be helpful. I wanted to be able to help somebody else and walk back into the room and hand it to you and you say, wow, thank you so much. You really helped me. I want that pride and joy that comes with the action. And we have stripped all of that out of American business. I mean, it's just not there anymore. We can't see the work. We can't see how it matters. We don't understand how it fits in. And because of that, I use this analogy. 25 years ago, I used to be able to walk into a business and I could walk through the departments and I could tell you how well the business was performing because everybody back then had a inbox and an outbox on their desk.
Right.
And I could see the flow of work through the business.
Yeah.
Can you see that? When's the last time you saw one of those, the bamboo 4-tier inbox?
Right. Everything's out of
one of those in years, right? I mean, yeah. So we got rid of that. We got rid of that with technology, which means as a manager, management's responsibility isn't just waving carrots and sticks around. It's actually optimizing the work and seeing what's happening and improving the flow of the work. Improving the yield is something I've been talking about a lot. Yeah. How do we get to a higher yield? You can't do that if you can't see the system.
That's right.
So all you're going to do is try techniques and hope you get lucky.
Right. And
but designing is different than that.
It is. And I think there's an element of creating pressure on the system when you don't recognize the tension that appears before the momentum. And
say that again. I really like that. Say that one more time.
Yeah. Applying pressure on the system without recognizing the tension that appears before the momentum. That tension is a signal that there needs to be a change. There needs to be engagement. And if the people are being the catalyst for that execution of tension, and there's no system for them to execute into, it's chaos.
It is chaos. I mean, that is why we have such high levels of churn in this country. I don't really believe that most people graduate college and say, oh, I'm excited to enter the workforce and change jobs 10 times in the next, 30 years. I don't think that's the case. I think people really would love to dedicate their lives to something that why do people leave? They leave because of bad managers. They leave because of chaos and they leave because of money. What if we could solve the bad managers, the chaos and the money piece and make it so that I'm not saying that you got to pay people more money. What I'm saying is accommodating the work for their life. I give this example of DuPont in the 1950s. DuPont discovered something that I believe if we would go back and really look at it, it would unlock a whole new potential of our economy. And that was that DuPont discovered what they call the DuPont schedule. That human beings are optimal when they work 5 10-hour days, 3 weeks in a row, and then have 1 week off every single month. Now, if you got off every 4th week for vacation and you left on a Friday and you didn't have to return that Monday or that next Friday, you returned the Monday after, right? Now you've had a 10-day stint with relaxation, with spending time with your family, with going to the doctors, with getting all of your things done, with getting yourself healthy. When you go back to work next week, you're energized. And listen, when you get into week 3 and you start getting a little bit run down, you're like, yeah, but on Friday I'm off for 10 freaking days in a row.
Yeah.
That to me, listen, that's 50 hours a week. That's not much different than what we pay people for right now. But would people take less money for that? I would.
Yeah.
If you gave me 1 week off a month, would I figure out a way to modify my lifestyle to make it work? I absolutely would. There's a lot of people that would. A lot of people that would.
But you said an important word though, energized, right? So what ultimately saps people's energy? And when you get that energy sapped from you, you lose productivity, you lose commitment, you lose focus. And so one of the things that saps energy is unpredictability, variability, right? Things that happen. Why does it work this way? Why doesn't it work that way? Listen, you love analogies. I've learned a ton of them from you. One of the ones that I think about a lot is how second nature the systems that we have in our lives as humans are, like your morning system. What happens when your eyes open up in the bed, laying in bed, and how your day gets started? We all have a system. We may intentionally design it. It may have just happened by default. But what happens when one of those things in your morning system is disrupted for one reason or the other? A barking dog, let's say. Like I just said.
I had it happen yesterday. I did.
You forget to brush your teeth in the order that you normally brush it, and then you're driving to where you're going and you forget to put deodorant on just because there was variability in your system, and now your energy is sapped and everything you're trying to do is different.
I had this happen yesterday. We had a major storm here in Phoenix. I had some damage to my house. Literally 9-inch anchors got pulled out of concrete. It was wild, 70 mile per hour winds. And I'm out there cleaning things up. And then I look down and realize I have a breakfast appointment with an important client in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And I've lost track of time. And now I have to run into the house. I throw on clothes. I get a shower. I throw on clothes. I get there. I'm only 10 minutes late. I texted the guy and he was like, no big deal. We're running late too. It was fine. But the rest of my day was jacked. The pants that I had on did not feel right. I was like, is there something wrong? The shirt, I kept tugging. I'm like, you know me, Bill. I own 10 of these in long sleeve and short sleeve, and then I have polos, 10 of the exact same shirts. It's the same outfit I wear every day. The whole day. I went home and changed at one point because I was like, something is wrong with these clothes. It had me so jacked up, I couldn't accomplish anything, all because I was 8 minutes, 10 minutes behind my normal schedule.
Right. That's
You're right. It affects everything. And we talk about this in training. When you're in pain, it's a 10 to 40% reduction in your IQ.
Right.
Physiologically. So now apply that to mental pain of anxiety and unpredictability and chaos. Your people are 40% dumber because you're too stupid to fix your system.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say that to your face, CEOs, but it's the truth. You want better people. It's easy. Go out and remove the pain from their process, and they will become smarter because of it. And you're paying the same wage and you get better people. But for some reason, we don't believe that.
What's interesting too is when you apply the rigor or the intent to purposeful systems and the intentional design of systems that work with the people who are expected to use them, you reduce variability, you create inclusion. I love the way Tracy Ann introduced this concept of the people who write the plan, don't fight the plan. At the end of the day, what ends up happening is that you've created something that people can function because they understand it.
Yeah.
And when I talk about a company vibe, it's not just about the way people feel. That's a byproduct of the way they work. And when they have that pride and joy you spoke about a moment ago, and a relative degree of predictability and certainty and reduced variability, the vibe goes up. If there's trust in themselves and the way they show up, what the people around them that they work with, and the company itself, the strategy is clear. I know where we're going and why it matters. Everything comes together. Now, you're going to have variability in life. Customers are going to be unhappy. You're going to have tariffs, weather, things happen, but you're going to
Twitter is right in there too.
Yeah, right. But you're going to be more prepared for the response in a way that doesn't put as much consistent downside pressure on your business and your people. You can't have the energy sapped if you want people to show up and do their best work.
No, it's really true. I mean, we have to think about, and listen, I don't believe that I can automate everything in a company. I think there is a human element. There's always going to be an element of human mistakes and errors and those kind of things. But let's just take the things that we know we can control, and let's just get those things locked down to reduce the noise in the business. Because in the end, it really is about the signal and the noise, right?
Yep.
You have the signal. It's being interrupted with all this noise. Reducing that noise improves the fidelity of the system. Everything sounds better, looks better, feels better, plays better, it has less friction. And that, I think, is a really key element. We have not designed our businesses. Well, we've made this mistake, and we've designed our businesses with a profit first ideology.
Right.
And I don't want to knock our good friend down there in Florida, Chris White. I know he does a lot of work around this, and I understand what he's saying about profits first. But the reality is, what should come first is your employees. And then what should come second is your customers. And then the byproduct of those two things being optimized is yield. It's profit. It's an increase in the back end. I always refer to Jack Welch in this instance, because if you know the story of Welch, right? GE CEO, maximized shareholder value, stock price soared. He takes a $500 million bonus when he leaves, and within 2 years, the federal government's bailing out GE. There's nothing left.
Right.
It's just a shell, and everybody's like, what happened? Well, it's like cleaning out a pumpkin. I mean, Jack Welch cut open the top, scooped out all the innards, sold all the seeds off for parts, And it looked really good on paper until it didn't. And then it just stopped. And people forget that in 2008, when he was asked about this, after watching the market crash and GE disappear from American life, and he said, well, this focus on long-term shareholder value was the dumbest idea in the world. Any company that's focusing first on profits is morons. And they're idiots because this is stupid. What we need to focus on is how do we optimize the experience for the customer? And to do that, we do that through optimizing the experience for the employee. Listen, I was with a group of CEOs this week and I said, how many of you, regularly touch your customers? Yeah, I do. So you touch 100% of your customers. No, who do you touch? Top 10.
Yeah.
You know who they touch. So who's touching the regular ones? Who's touching the other 90%? What's frontline employees?
Yeah.
So if their experience is bad, if you're having a bad day, Bill, you know what happens. You get to work and everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
If you're having a good day, you pass that sunshine along.
Yeah.
So to optimize your customer experience, there's only one way to do that. And that is through optimizing the experience for your employees, making things easier to do, simple to understand, more predictable, less anxiety, less chaos, give them some autonomy to make decisions. And don't point out when they make a bad one. Don't blame them. Say, hey, look, I get it. In that situation, I might've made the same decision, but now in retrospect, wouldn't it have been better to do this? And let them learn and become part of a learning organization.
And the best part is when the people are involved in the design of the system, especially when they're closest to where the pain is, then when that pain appears and the trust is there, they feel much more compelled to come to the higher ups, if you will, to report something. Derrick, it's funny. I was with a couple of CEO groups myself recently in the last couple of weeks and introduced.
By the way, also 2024 New Vistage Speaker of the Year. We have to hold the title together.
We share that same distinction. I'm honored to be in great company with you on that.
Yeah, likewise.
But the great part was one of the parts of my workshop is I have the CEOs fill out a personal trust index just before I take them through the system of the systems. And it's an 11 question inventory, rate 1 to 10. And most of the CEOs rate themselves as a 10 on the trust score. And that makes sense because they should be. But in each of the three, and I just started this a couple weeks ago, each of the three workshops I did for Vistage over the last couple weeks, there were at least a couple members of the team that rated 6 or lower out of 10 on people will tell me the truth. And I found that interesting because I knew what was next in my workshop, which was talking about designing systems with the people that are expected to use them. And the dialogue that occurred after those CEOs raised their hand and said, well, I rated a 6 on that one, is I don't know why people want to always tell me what I want to hear. And I'm like, well, I asked the members of the room that didn't score 6 or lower, why do you think that is? And at the end of the day, they're like, because these people don't feel safe to tell you what's going wrong in the company. And what a disaster when the person, like you said a moment ago, who is touching 90% of the rest of the customers in the organization, sees a problem and doesn't feel confident saying something to leadership. That's a system breakdown.
It sure is. And Bill, I think the reason for this, and sometimes I've had CEOs get really upset with this because I've done this work for a while and I take this list to them at the end and say, here's what the employees need. And I see the looks in their faces and they're like, why did I have to pay you 20 grand to go ask them the question? They could have just come to me, right?
Yeah.
But here's the truth. Whoever signs your paycheck is the last person you want to tell bad news to.
Right.
What do I have written in? I think it's in my second or third book. The bearer of bad news always fares badly, right? It's just, if I'm the one, think about the king. It's like I show up and I'm like, the troops have been defeated. And he's like, off with his head. It's like, hey, man, I didn't do nothing, right? I mean,
but the beatings will stop when the morale improves.
Right. And even if you're not the asshole, even if you as the CEO are not that way, I promise you, over dinner with friends, camping with, family, they have heard horror story after horror story of employees that brought something up and immediately were shipped out.
Yeah.
Or they've, I talk about this with technology companies regularly, and it's like, you have 16 people in that department. How many do you need? Well, I think we need 18, but no, but what do you actually need to do the work? If you take away all the meetings and all the searching and all the busy work, what does it actually take? And usually it's a small fraction of that. So if we could figure out how to optimize that vibe and that process and system, what kind of results could we get? I mean, we could get, if you're a farmer, you're trying to get better yield per acre. You can buy more acres, but that's just more work. You've seen me say this before about Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates, when asked about the secret to his success with Windows, he said, look, I just hire lazy people. They're the ones that will find the easiest way to do things. Don't trust that hustler. Don't trust the guy that gets stuff done.
Isn't that
that guy's just going to keep working. He's just going to keep plowing the fields and plow into the woods. And no, I want the guy that stands on the porch drinking a Kool-Aid and says, you know what? If
How
we
can we get out of here?
fertilize that, I wouldn't have to walk nearly as far and I could get a better yield. Those are the people I want, the lazy son of a bitches to come to work for me.
Yeah.
And nobody is telling their HR department, find me the laziest people.
Right.
But that is a skill that we need. And listen, here's the interesting thing about that skill in particular. AI is not good at it.
Right.
We are exceptional at being lazy. We are exceptional at finding shortcuts. I'm sure there is some place in your neighborhood where the sidewalk goes straight, but the people have curved and made the pathway, right?
Yeah.
And made the arch because they're like, I'm not going to take that extra 2 steps.
Yeah.
Human beings are exceptionally good at this because we are lazy, because we don't have enough energy and we're always trying to conserve that energy. AI has the grid. It can just pull from whatever it needs. So our secret advantage in a world of AI may be the fact that we're lazy. That might be the thing. So let's embrace that and bring that into our businesses. Let's make our businesses lazy so that things are easy to get done and we can go sit on the porch and have our Kool-Aid, have our lemonade, and kick back and enjoy ourselves.
You just gave me an idea. Convert lazy into energy.
No kidding, right? I got that lazy vibe, right? I like that.
That's right.
I mean, it is just not. I wonder. I'm gonna ask Ashley Bechtel, since that's who we all know. I'm gonna ask Ashley Bechtel to look at all job posts on the internet and see how many of them looking for lazy people.
Lazy wanted.
Yeah, nobody's doing that. So, Bill, how do you work with clients? We've been riffing here for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Tell me how you engage with clients.
Yeah, really 3 levels, Derrick. Typically, it's a senior leadership team that wants to get together and do some strategy work, maybe understand the culture of their company and how they can combine the two to get better outcomes. So kind of your typical planning, quarterly, monthly check-ins, things like that. System and Soul is a great way that I kind of frame that engagement.
And for anybody that isn't familiar, System and Soul is an operating system for businesses, right? And it was created by some folks who know this stuff, right? Created this stuff, right? The stuff that mainstream. This is their sort of,
exactly.
This is it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was an EOS implementer. I had done EOS previously. And in my conversations in between sessions, often it was around culture and people and leadership. And so System and Soul is a nice fit for me because there's an equal balance on the people side. But that's one way, working with leadership teams. But more often, I'm learning that the leadership team gets to anywhere from 8 to 16 months, and they start to say, hey, I think we get it. What do we need to do to get the people not in this room to kind of buy into what we're trying to accomplish? And so the next way I work with teams is to engage next level leadership, and the work with the system and the process fixer tools is a great application there because that's when we start getting shoulder to shoulder and understanding what the vibe is in the organization where the work actually happens. And then the third level is ultimately when the CEO has gotten the leadership team aligned, the next level leaders being better coaches and getting their people involved in the tools and systems that we bring. Then I work with the CEOs one-on-one to better learn how they can create a path to exit for themselves and how can I live the life that I'm supposed to live either in the business or outside of the business because I've now built a team that I trust and people around them that trust the team. I'm
so glad that you said that because that plays into, I'm going to make a little selfless pitch. I just put it up a few minutes ago, doing a 4-part webinar series in September to talk about beyond the transaction. How do you just get your mind in the game? What tends to happen is this, and I hate it. I see it all the time. And I saw it when I worked for investors, is that we make an offer on a business and then I show up and they've not prepared at all.
Yeah.
And my job, Bill, in that was you got an offer for $25 million from us. My job was how much are we going to discount it? You've already agreed to this amount. And now I walk in and I poke the holes in your systems and I say, well, let me see your maps. Tell me how much time it takes to run through this department. What's the average? What was it last year, last quarter? I want to see your cash conversion cycle reports for the last 24 months. And they go, what? We don't do anything like that. And I go, okay, great. So that means we have to fix all that stuff when we buy it. So it has flat tires now. Okay, great. Do you have process maps? No, you don't have an engine. Okay. So what are we buying here? Are we buying a company or am I just buying some sort of like building with a few people that
work? A box of Legos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not buying an actual business here. Yeah. It sounds like I'm just buying, is this a bankruptcy? And I was a dick about it, right? I mean, that was my job, was to go in and to make you, when you got the call from my boss that night that says, man, I know we agreed on 25, but geez, this thing's probably worth what, 12?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, probably after that.
Right.
That's what I got paid on, was figuring out discount on your price. So let me teach you how not to do that.
Right.
Let me teach you how to shut up that due diligence guy when he walks in and you slide stuff across the desk and he goes, okay, how quickly can we acquire? Because this is great.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And getting to the place where you've got your ducks in a row, starting with your leadership team at whatever level you are, and people are aligned, they trust each other, communication is good, and there's an openness and a vulnerability to say, hey, we don't know everything that's happening down at the ground level. Let's then enable the next level leaders. And if there are layers below that, them as well, so that bottom up works just as well as top down. And frankly,
Bill, it's such probably the best due diligence experience I ever went through was a few years back, and the buyer actually at the end looked at it and said, you guys, you know more about this business than we do, and we're your competitor.
Yeah,
we thought we were dominating, but I'm glad we're getting you now because you'd have probably wiped us out. After the paperwork was signed and the money was transferred, they were pretty open on to why they bought it, and they were like, "Look, this due diligence experience was great. We learned." You handed us stuff that we didn't even think was needed. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we're like, wait, do our other portfolio companies have this stuff? Because if they don't, we could be in trouble. So that's really what it's about. It's about going into that equation with the upper hand. And listen, the private equity, the capital ventures, raising money, joint ventures, all of those kind of things, man, the person that holds the most cards wins every time.
Yeah.
So just stack your deck, even if it's just a checkbox where because you don't know what part of that diligence process, when they're in the car on the way back to the airport and one of them goes, you just see those process maps and they go, oh man, shoot, I've never seen that before. And that changes everything.
I can't tell you how many times I've had clients that fly off from wherever they are to, big cities around the US to meet with their private equity firms. And they come back and they say, thank God we had that roadmap. Thank God we had that org chart. And to you and me, that seems like such a basic thing. But to them, they're like, we're busy trying to make money and trying to move product and trying to open up a new location. But then when the investors or suitors say, well, do you know what you're doing? And is it intentional? To say no is a bad answer.
Let me show you a 10-slide PowerPoint, just like the last 90, exactly. 100. It just doesn't make sense. Show them something different. Say, hey, look, here's the blueprint to this business. And let me tell you, here's the 5 things that we did that improved the throughput by 7%. And here's the 5 others that if I had $500,000, I could optimize and increase the yield by 10%. What do you think? And they go, absolutely. Yeah, how much? I mean, I've been involved in some of those deals where, it's like you're raising capital and you're raising $10 million and the investor comes back and goes, hey, how about 20? I've seen your cash conversion cycle. Why are we fooling around with this thing? This is a winner. Right. You got the blueprint. Let's just run with it. You've already got the plan. So there's a lot of importance to those kind of things. So that's great. So how do people find you? They go to your website. What's the best way to find you?
Yes. Yeah. Vibeoptimizer.com is the best way to reach me.
So anybody that's watching this, obviously, if you want to work with me and Bill's a part of that, if we're working collectively or you're working with him on his own, you know how to find us. You can find me. You can find him. Now, here's the 2 elements of this talk, of this podcast that we want to do that's a little bit unique. I'm going to ask you a question here, Bill, in just a second. Sure. And that question, I really want your candid response to. I'm not going to say anything after I ask it. I just want you to process and answer the question to the best of your ability. Here goes. Bill, why do I like hanging out with you?
Wow, I love that question. Why do you love hanging out with me?
What do you bring? What is it?
I think it's because we vibe, if I do say so myself. I think we have a kindred spirit, never thought of it, around why things work and how they could work better. We have a natural tendency, it feels to me, this vibe that's like, there's got to be a better way. There has to be a system for this. How does it work if we make 1 + 1 = 3? Because just taking what we have isn't good enough. There's this constant sort of drive to improve. I think that's why.
I love that answer. And I don't have an answer for it. So I'm learning from you all as to what that is, right? So I appreciate that. All right. So here's the last thing.
And storytelling, by the way.
Yeah, right.
I love your stories.
Well, likewise. I mean, it's funny. I've been trying to figure out for years where that comes from. And I do think it's because I grew up in a religious community and my only exposure to reading and writing until I was out of 10th, 11th grade is when I finally read something outside of that. And I realized that I just learned a lot of parables. Yeah. I learned a lot of Bible stories. I learned a lot of parables growing up. And I always was fascinated by what is the meaning of that. right? And this sort of what I would call revelatory knowledge, like reading something and going, well, what does that really mean? Contemplating on it and meditating on it, not just on the full concept, but on each word and how those words stack up and tell a story. So I appreciate that. I mean, obviously, storytelling is one of my vibes, right? So,
I'm a journalism major, so go figure.
Right. Yeah, there you go. So here's the last question for you. You've been through the in-person training on the system. Are you in this cohort right now? Yeah, you're in the cohort right now. Yep. So you've also been going through the online. So what's the benefit of going through the system? And I know that you're going to probably talk about this more as an independent consultant, that you use this in your practice, but I'd love to hear from you. What is it about this course, this lesson, this training in the system that you're able to, I don't know, that provides the value to you? Lucas Petty was on earlier and he's like, I've been through it 5 times and I plan on going through the next one. I'm like, dang, dude, like he's just like, every time I go, I learn something new. Some of it's because of the continuous improvement that I'm always making, but some of it is just where you are and how you see it at that moment in time.
That's a great question. I mean, it seems like too easy of an answer, but if I'll elaborate and say, the idea that it's like community, right? What is the process fixer and all of the work that's inside of it, but a problem solving tool set? Mm-hmm. And so when you get people, it's like sitting on the porch drinking lemonade in a hot summer day. You're talking about the baseball team you love and the game that is on the radio. Or if you're in a farm, you're looking out at the pasture and the cows or the crops or whatever. You're identifying and observing things around you. And you're having a conversation with people you trust and you care about, I wonder why that is. Or I wonder what if that pitcher is going to get the out, or if we're going to end up making it to the end of the game and winning. Whatever your desired intent is, you're with people you care about, who care about the things you care about, talking about whether or not it's going to work out the way you want it to, in the most basic sense. And so what I love about this, whether it be the live training or the virtual stuff we're going through right now, is it gives you tools and frameworks that are really simple and fun, because I would never in a million years have thought of myself as a process system guy. I didn't realize how much I am, but largely because everything I've ever learned about it is like super complicated graphs and Gantt charts and all kinds of wackadoo stuff. But you make it fun with stories and context and simple ideas and diagrams, quotes and making toast and all kinds of fun things. But then using tools that are ultimately say, let's take those observations we have while we're sitting on the porch, drinking the lemonade, and let's talk about how we can get to a better outcome. And what happens, I would say, irrespective of what the application is that trust builds, communication improves, revenue and or profit changes, productivity goes up, turnover goes down. There's so many residual benefits of just sitting on that porch with the lemonade and chatting about what you're seeing to people you care about. So to me, when I think about a company vibe, there's no better way to optimize it than to talk about what's happening in the company and how we can work together to make it better.
It's like, I love that analogy that you just gave us sitting on the porch, because the way that I thought about it is like, look, the truck's not running, it's broken. Well, what's the first thing you're going to do is pop the hood. Yeah. Right. But yet in our business, we see the truck not running and we just say, well, give it a pizza party. Can we incentivize it with some sort of bonus? It's like, exactly. Well, bro, the truck is broken. And it's like, well, this pizza, where do we put it in? I mean, the gas, no, we don't. You've got to fix the vehicle. I mean, our businesses are vehicles to deliver value and to allow us to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And if we're not treating it that way, if we're not maintaining it, if we're not shifting the gears, if we're not greasing it and oiling it and understanding how it works and providing it the proper maintenance, and then we wonder why half of the work, is busy work. I mean, this new McKinsey study that came out, 47% of office workers' time, huge study, 47% is looking for things or managing emails. I mean, half of your payroll is doing nothing. Lean Six Sigma regularly says 30 to 60% of steps when you're mapping out a process, 30 to 60% of the steps aren't even necessary. Half of work is nonsense. And the only way to fix it is not sitting AI speeding it up. I'm sorry, if the shit's going to hit the fan, you don't want the fan running faster.
Right, exactly.
Turn the damn thing off and clean up the shit first. So it blows me away how, unfortunately, I think I'm too late in this message, though, because I will tell you that the big guys are already optimizing to the umpteenth degree. They understand now that business is a machine and you've got to optimize these cogs, and the people have a place as well that to act lazy, to do some of these things that human beings can't do. But the small to medium-sized businesses are sitting around waiting. And unfortunately, I guess I need to get a bankruptcy attorney as part of the collective, because that's going to be a lot. I mean, you're just going to see, it's like, when automobiles came to New York City, right? 99.99935% of livery stables went out of business in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's what's coming if you don't prepare now. But if you do prepare and you optimize that organization so that it is systemized, that it could be assimilated into another system, you got it. You're speaking the language of the world today. And if you don't, I hope you retire soon.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be around.
You mentioned it a couple times today, and it's something that resonates with me. But I think the pride and joy that you get from the solving of the problem, from implementing a system that works, from functioning effectively within that system, is part of the answer to that AI. Just because the system is optimized doesn't mean you have a killer company vibe. No. Because if people don't feel the joy and the pride that comes with getting that truck that isn't running, and look, I love just a simple, maybe it's an American gesture, I don't know. Look, when you do something good with somebody you like and trust, what do? You fist bump them.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
That feeling is not something AI can give you ever.
Yeah. That's a great metric. I talk about how I dislike KPIs. I'm okay with that one. Number of fist bumps per hour of work occurred or something, right?
I love it.
But it's such a true point. And I don't know when it changed for us. I think here in the United States now, we always ask this question of, what do you do?
Yeah.
And it's so weird because anybody from other countries, I just was with somebody from France the other day, and she was like, it's weird here. She's like, you guys always ask what people do.
Yeah.
She's like, in Europe, we ask what people are into. Like, what do you study? She's like, a common question is ask somebody, what are you studying right now? Oh, I'm not a student. Well, no, you are for your whole life. You're a student.
Yeah.
What are you studying right now? This is a question I've started to ask executives when I meet them is, hey, as we're getting along, I said, well, what are you studying right now? And wow, it shocks me how many of them have nothing.
Yeah.
And the other group is like, oh, I'm currently reading Immanuel Kant's work.
Yeah.
I'm reading about philosophy.
Right.
I'm following this. I'm really into Abigail Thorne, the philosopher right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is a person who's really deeply thinking about the world. And if they're deeply thinking about the world, why are they not deeply thinking about their business?
Yes.
Because the bias that they have about their business is shielding them from seeing what's actually happening and lifting that bias veil and saying, well, wait, isn't it really this? And they go look at it and go, you know what? That actually feels right. Not what I believed, but deep down inside, now I know that wasn't right.
Yeah.
That's transformation. That's change. That's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah, for sure. Derrick, I learned so much from you and all of your reading. And I recently read Benjamin Hardy's Science of Scaling book.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been really interested in his program. And one of the very first things he says in the book, I believe it's an Elon Musk quote actually, is, you don't want to optimize something that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that seems so simple. But the idea of saying, what do you want to optimize is almost the version of what do you do for a business, right? So what are you studying when you run into an executive at a cocktail party is a much better way of saying, what are you into versus what do you do? I'm a CEO. That doesn't tell me what you're into. That tells me what your title is.
Yeah.
But I think for a business, what do you want to optimize? That's a whole different question than what's broken. How's your business going? What was your revenue? Did you meet your goal? What do you want to optimize? And I think that's an interesting question because when I heard it first from Benjamin Hardy, and that's my first question in my Vistage talk, after we do a little assessment, I'll ask the audience, you felt some tension in this little assessment. What do you want to optimize? It's amazing what they say, how they respond to that simple question.
Well, I've just updated my Vistage talk to the first slides saying, what do you want to optimize?
Awesome. We'll be a 2025 speaker of the year.
Yeah, together. Right. I will. I'm gonna put it down here. I'm gonna put Bill Green. I'm literally building the slide right now. I love that. Right. It's such a great question, and I always wonder how I should start my Vistage talk.
Yeah,
I do mine a little bit differently, and I talk a lot about theory and philosophy about business. Yeah. But I love that idea of asking that question. Like, what is it that you really need to optimize in your book? What do you want to optimize?
Yeah.
Let's apply these lessons to that throughout the day.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love it. Bill, thank you so much for being here. Listen, everybody, thank you all for joining me here on The Fix. Lots of new things going on. You can check out The Fix Conference, November 12th and 13th. Bill's going to be there with me on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be lots of cool after hours events too. And we're going to maybe do a little bit of improv problem solving. We're going to do some cool things that might be a little uncomfortable, but I guarantee you they will be impactful, as they always are with the stuff that we produce. The other flip side of that is this: get involved and find out more about the system. As Bill just said, look, there's a value here to learning about using the system inside your organization. We have online training, we have in-person training. You can come, we can come to you, Bill can come to you, I can come to you, You can come to us, whatever it is. We try to cover all bases and have really options for anybody. So thank you all for being here. Thank you again, Bill Green. Appreciate you for being here, my friend.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Got it. We will talk to you all soon. Thank you. And until next time.
Take care.